Martha Alderson here, also known as the Plot Whisperer. We're now on step 3 of how to write a novel, screenplay, or short story. So we've covered the character, what their long-term goal is. We've come up with some sort of a flaw for the character, that their internal flaw will sort of sabotage them as they're trying to go forward with their goal. So now the next important step is to figure out the setting. So I'm going to break this into 2 steps. And we'll start first with the beginning of the story. There are 3 parts of the story: the beginning, the middle, and the end, which everybody knows. And the beginning has its own parameters. It's a very specific part of the story, and it demands certain things. So usually the setting of the story at the beginning is in what we call the ordinary world. It's just sort of introducing the character and showing what life is like before the actual story takes off. So what you want to do is come up with an idea of where you want your story to take place. This can be in terms of the physical setting, and in some cases the physical setting almost becomes a character in the book because it becomes so important. But there are other kinds of settings as well. So I have a couple examples. One is Juno, and this is a screenplay for the movie that was fabulous, Juno. And what happens at exactly 1/4 of the way through the story, which is the beginning, is the first quarter of the book or the screenplay, is she announces to her boyfriend that she's pregnant. So at the beginning of the story, we meet the characters, we see who they are, that they're young and in school, and we see their ordinary world. As soon as she says what she says about being pregnant, the ordinary world now shifts and changes, and we'll talk about that next time. But for this time, just know that the setting is important to start out, so we have something to compare to as the character moves on their journey. This is a young adult story called Hatchet for boys, although girls like it too, Gary Paulson. And for the first quarter of this book, and again it happens almost on the exact marker where everything shifts, but for the first quarter we meet this young man, we know that his parents are divorced, we see where he lives, what his lifestyle is like, what school is like, what his best friend is, all of those different sorts of elements about the setting, and the introduction of who the character is before everything shifts. So, and then the last one, which I thought was sort of interesting, it's a memoir, and it's called My Stroke of Insight, and it's about a brain scientist, or a brain scientist who has a stroke, a major stroke, and loses her capacity with her brain. So in the first quarter of this book, we see her for who she is, as a competent, brilliant scientist. And then right at the 1/4 mark, things shift. But at the beginning, we need to see, who is she, who are her colleagues, what is her life all about? Because once she has the stroke and everything shifts, it becomes much more dramatic when we have something to compare it to. So your assignment for step 3 is just to come up with a setting for the beginning of your story. Where would you like it to take place? Sort of think about it, make some descriptions of the authentic details, and then come back for step 4, and we'll talk about the second part of your setting. Oh, and if you need more comments or help or tips, please feel free to go to Plot Whisperer blog or blockbusterplots.com. Both of them have plot tips galore. So if you need more information about any of this, hopefully you'll find some there. Thank you.